Howdy there YouTube, this is T Walker aka Tanner. I'm going to be doing another My Thoughts video today in response to a question asked to me by Zarion13. So, what his question pretty much was, he's running a kind of dark fantasy setting and using World of Darkness for that setting, and one of his players insists on being a wizard, and his question is, how do I placate this player without making him overpowered? Do I give him a couple of abilities from the, mage or the vampire books, or, maybe the werewolf book? And I very quickly looked over the mage and vampire, which I have over there. I wouldn't, actually. Um, I mean, if you think that you can handle that, I personally wouldn't give him any abilities from that. Just different things, different power levels, it's going to be hard to balance. But there are some things you can do. Now, my first question is, what does your player want to do with this magic? What kind of mage does he want to be? Because that's really going to switch and change my advice that I would give you. Because, I'm sorry, I'm looking over at my books. Because there are really two different types of magic in tabletop RPGs. There is magic as flavor and magic as actual magic. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. A magical spell that does 10d6s at a range of 20 feet every time, and that's what it'll do. That's actually not magic. It's straight up not. What that is a ranged attack roll with a different flavor. It might be an overpower ranged attack roll in that you don't have to roll accuracy for it, but pretty much what it is mechanically is a ranged attack roll that never misses and does this much damage. It's not actually magic. I mean, the flavor, yeah, I mean, it is magic in that it's flavored as magic, but you can really flavor anything as magic. For example, if I have points in, if I put a bunch of, looking at World of Darkness, if I put a bunch of points into athletics, right, but I describe my character as quite possibly the weakest, most frail person you ever meet, and he's just kind of drawn in, he's very just tiny, skinny, he looks like he couldn't, run or lift anything to save his life, but he's like lifting up cars, and he's lifting, these 200-pound weights, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flavor that with magic. I'm saying, he may be the weakest person you ever know in life, but, he's using magic to give himself this strength. Magic. I mean, is there a difference between him and the same score in athletics? No. There's not, actually. They are the same, except they're flavored differently. And what I call this is the smoke and mirrors trick. And it works very, very well. I mean, almost too well. So, if your player really wants to have, magic, and maybe he only wants magic that, hurts people, it casts Fireball, okay, well, give him a magic skill, right? And for all intents and purposes, this magic skill is a firearms skill, right? Don't tell him that. It's a magic skill. Oh yeah, you want magic that deals damage? You got it. Here it is. It's a firearms skill. You give him, a focus, an amulet, a talisman, a something, right? That he holds on to and he has to hold on to it to use this magic. And for all intents and purposes, mechanically, that's a handgun. But you don't tell him that. It's a talisman, right? Which he's channeling his magical energy through to shoot these fireballs, these, vines, and it really doesn't matter what he's shooting as long as he's using it to hurt people, because that's what a gun's gonna do. It doesn't matter if they, get stabbed with a vine or if they get shot with a bullet. It's just flavor, right? So, and you give him 4 uses a day, and you know, because those are the bullets, these 4 uses a day, and there you go. Now there is some things you gotta take into consideration. One, he needs a talisman to do this, so you got that taken care of. It's just like a gun. If somebody takes it away, he can't cast his magic. You know, he can't fire his gun, he can't cast his magic. And the 4 times a day, it's kind of like unlimited ammo, but it is restricted to 4 times a day, which is good. That balances itself out. Or maybe he doesn't want to use it for firearms. Maybe he wants to use his magic to, you know, talk to animals or something. So, really, it's just flavor. You use the smoke and mirrors trick again. So you make you know, this animal magic skill, right? And pretty much what it's just taking the place of is animalkin, right? And he puts points into that. It does the same thing, but he flavors it with magic. Smoke and mirrors works great. It's awesome. Most of the time people don't know the difference. They're like, doing this with magic, yeah, oh, I'm so cool, look at me, oh yeah, shooting fireballs and crap. Really, it works very well. Now, that is flavored magic. That is magic that does pretty much the same things that skills could do, except with a different flavor. Now, real magic. Let's talk about what real magic is. Real magic is flexible, and real magic is, you know, as I've said in my System Series 3 video, it's unpredictable, it's changeable, it can adapt to any situation. What that means is a real magical score, a real magical ability, is the ability to do anything. Anything that you want. It's the ability to bend reality. That is real magic. So a real mage, then, a person with a score in magic, is pretty much a jack of all trades, because instead of using these skills, he's using his magical ability to get things done, for the most part, to change reality, to bend reality, instead of, you know, at one point, you know, there's this huge cliff, so he, you know, levitates everyone up onto there. Well, that's the same thing as, you know, himself climbing and giving everybody else a boost to climbing. They're the same thing mechanically. They both, you know, get you to the top of the cliff in a certain amount of time. But he's using his magic stat for this. And if it's real magic, he can also use that magic stat to pick a lock, or hurt an enemy, or do something like that. So, you've got that to consider. So, if you're going to have him have real magic, which you could do, it's totally possible, this is how I would run it. Make it either a stat or a skill, alright? And have him put points into it. So maybe he's at a 4 ranking in magic, right? Now, allow him any time that he wants to this is the one I would certain skill and brawl, right? He can replace that with his magic score, which is at 4. However, whenever he does this, it's going to cost him something. Like I said in my my video about creating custom abilities, there's efficacy and then there's frequency. Now we need to hinder the frequency. What's going to stop him from doing this every time? I'll tell you. Make it cost something. Now, you could make it cost a willpower point. Quite frankly, I think that's too cheap. I think that's too easy, unless you don't give willpower points out very much. I don't like that. But you could do that. It costs a willpower point, and he can switch his magic score in for his whatever. What I think would be cooler is if it cost him a morality point. Every time he does this, he needs to roll against his morality and risk going down. That means if he keeps using his magic, lower on the morality, because maybe in this dark fantasy game, morality is a magic is a corrupting force. I think that would really just add to the darkness of the game. If every time he's using this magic skill, he is lowering his morality. Another good one I think would be health. If he wants to use this, he's gonna cast a serious wound on himself. Oh, that's gonna suck. But it's giving him something good. It's giving him the ability to get bonuses where he otherwise wouldn't. But it's at a cost, and that cost is his health. He needs some way to switch it up. And I'm just looking at the character character sheet here, and looking at what you could do. Personally, I like the morality one. That's my favorite. And so you have this ability, it's magic, and he substitutes it in for any one of his whenever he makes a roll. That is flexible magic, because what he's doing is, instead of using a skill which he has no points into, he's using this magic skill, but it's coming at a price. And that price is his morality, or his health. You could do willpower, I don't like it. But that cost is what's hindering him from doing it all the time. Now, those would be my main suggestions. There is another way you could do it, and it's kind of going on the same thing. He has this magic stat, right? But instead of replacing one of the skills he's using, he adds it as a bonus to what he's doing. He adds this magic stat as a bonus to, so if it's 3, and his athletics is whatever, and his, strength or power is whatever, or, strength is whatever, and he's going to add his magic stat on top of that to make the pool even bigger. But of course, whenever he does this, he's going to lose morality, or willpower, or health, whatever you choose. Another way you could do that is, instead of, losing health or willpower or morality, one that shot you in an email, you could make it, every time he uses this ability, you get a little, here, let me grab something. You grab, a token, and you measure something. I'm just going to use D6s, right? And use them as my counting tokens. So, at once, and you set this token aside. And then he uses it again, and you set this token aside, right? Now, what these tokens represent are points in the story where you can turn any player's success into a failure. So say they roll, but in their, die pool roll, but you have 2 tokens. You exchange these in to take away those successes. Because now magic has a price too, and that price is dark, like you said, dark fantasy, so that's what I'm kind of playing off of here. And he knows that, yeah, he could use that magic to get him through some tough times, right, if then the situation's really intense. But should he do that way one of his successes, or one of the rolled successes? Now that's a really powerful thing. When, normally, when a character is climbing a wall, and normally when they would have succeeded, but because reality is backlashing and reality is angry that it's being tampered with, that rock that was there once before is suddenly not there, and you slip and fall. I don't know. I personally think that would be really cool. So those are my initial thoughts. If he really wants to be a mage, it depends what he means by mage. If he just wants it to, let him deal damage, use the smoke and mirrors. If he just wants it to, let him persuade people, use the smoke and mirrors. Say, okay, it's a magic stat. You're persuading them through magic, but really it's just a persuade skill. If it's but if he really wants real, flexible magic, I would suggest doing that. Giving him a magic stat and letting him replace different stats and skills with that. Anyway, this has been T Walker, aka Tanner, and I'm signing off.